afternoon. I'm Kristen Eichbauer, and this is Rebecca Holden, Lauren Miller, Leslie Ann Dickerson, and Katie Capers. We're presenting our research study today on how nonprofit organizations use the internet to maintain and build relationships with their publics, which can include the general public, donors, and their volunteers. So as basis of our research, we use the relationship management theory to show how these nonprofit organizations use the internet in building their relationships, especially now with social media being as big as it is now. This is really important for these nonprofit organizations. And most nonprofits don't have the money to spend on traditional advertising, so their internet presence is really important in building these relationships. So we conducted a study that included relationship management scale and applied those scales to the American Red Cross and the presence that they maintain on the web with their publics. The American Red Cross is a really great example of an organization. It's well known, it's very successful in what they do, and we hope that our results would also be applicable to other similar organizations, and that they could take something away from what the American Red Cross is doing with their presence on the web.
Because our research study was driven by relationship management theory, we decided to look into how this theory has been studied historically. And we found that relationship management is described as maintaining mutually beneficial relationships between an organization and the publics on which its future success or failure depends. We also found a correlation between relational maintenance strategies that an organization uses and the relational outcomes, such as trust, commitment, or satisfaction. In addition to relationship management theory, we looked at research that had been done on nonprofit organizations specifically and on their internet presence. And we found that though most nonprofit organizations have a website, few use this as a place to engage in two-way communication with their publics. Also, with the emergence of social media, many nonprofit organizations have been using these websites as a sort of call to action for their publics, but we also found that the existence alone of social media has no impact. When surveyed, most nonprofit organizations felt that they were generally satisfied with their internet presence, but less than 5% of funds and 10% of volunteers are actually acquired through the internet. But the Red Cross is sort of an exception to this because they generally have had more success with their online fundraising than other organizations. A lot of the research that we looked at was acquired through content analyses, so we felt it was important to have a survey which would overlay relationship management theory and internet usage of nonprofit organizations.
As Rebecca just said, we did a survey, and we decided to do an online survey rather than a paper and pencil survey. There were a few reasons we decided that. For one, it was really cost effective for us. We didn't have a budget, and so online survey was kind of the way to go. It was also really good for us to see in real time how many responses we were getting, so we could alter our emails that we needed to send out to potential respondents. It was also convenient for the respondents. They could be at home and answer in their pajamas if they wanted. Surveys were sent out to faculty and student listservs, and we chose them for one because it's a convenient sample for us. We're at a university, faculty and students are very convenient for us. We can access them within the 2-week period of time that we send out the surveys. We ended up sending them out in October, and we sent out over 1,500 email links to a SurveyMonkey survey. We sent out 6 different waves of emails. We started with just generic, please take our survey kind of emails, and then we looked at our responses. They weren't as good as we had hoped, so we had to change our tactics a little bit. We had to ask for please. We said we're students, please help us. We sent out deadlines, we sent out deadline extensions, and that helped our response rate a little bit. Our response rate overall ended up being 15.44%, which isn't as high as we had hoped, but that was probably due to the length of our survey, and you're going to hear a little bit more about that later. Overall, we got 222 responses, and 71 of the emails bounced back to us. After looking at everything, we found 5 really important factors that we used for all of our research and to create all of our knowledge, and they were looking at conversational human voice, communicated relational commitment from the organization, customer service, communication through technology, and humor and sharing. When looking at the convex alphas for these particular factors, 4 of them were really, really high. They were between 0.91 and 0.74. The last one, humor and sharing, it was 0.56. That was since there were only 2 variables within that. But overall, our convex alphas were very reliable.
Okay, so out of our 222 respondents, 78% were females and 21% were males. And most of the respondents were also Caucasian at 77%. And the mean age for our respondents was 25 years old, ranging from 18 to 53 years old, because we sent it out to students and faculty, so there were some older people. And we also had a majority of them indicated their year in school was grad school or a special case. And out of the social media sites that the American Red Cross participates in, most of the respondents participate on Facebook and YouTube. And surprisingly, they indicated they never visit Twitter or Flickr or LinkedIn, so that's an area that the American Red Cross needs to work on. And our first research question asked about how the nonprofit organization's internet presence affects or strengthens their relationship management between the organization and its publics. And so our study found that more than half of the respondents are more likely to engage in that donation relationship if the donation actually takes place on the organization's official website and not a third-party website. And they also indicated that they're more likely to donate if they get a printable receipt after the transaction. So basically, if the American Red Cross is more professional in the way they conduct their online donations, then they're more likely to donate online. We also found some pretty good correlations. We found positive, moderate, statistically significant correlation between the conversational human voice aspect and the donor's trust, satisfaction, and control mutuality with the organization. And we also found a positive, moderate, statistically significant correlation between the conversational human voice and the volunteer's trust and satisfaction and commitment. And they also indicated that they believe that they had, that the volunteers had some influence over the American Red Cross, and that control of the relationship was mutual. And so that was significant for their online communication. So.
Like I said, our study had some great results, but we did have a few limitations on it. One of them, mostly they concerned the length of the survey and our sample. Our response rate was only 15.44%, which is a little low. Obviously, we would have liked it to have been around 30 or 35, but we'll get better next time with more research. We also we did a convenient sample with students and faculty, so some of our demographics were skewed, like age, career, race, with the demographics that are provided here on the university's campus. So future research would maybe find a sample that it's more equally distributed next time. We did have an attrition issue in that people would start taking the survey and see how long it was and then stop taking the survey. So while that did prove that we had some great research to create the instrument, it kind of contributed to the fact that we had some partially completed surveys. So future research would just trim down the instrument a little bit. We had some great results, and we think that they serve as a great foundation for future research. Some things that we suggested included measuring how likely a donor would be to give to a nonprofit depending on the method of payment on the organization's website. If they have PayPal, are they more likely to contribute versus putting in their personal credit card information on the website? Other things we suggested was doing an experiment, such as having one group give their perceptions of a nonprofit strictly on just knowing their name, and then another group giving their perceptions of the nonprofit after seeing their website, after seeing their internet presence, and then researchers could compare and contrast the similarities, the similarities and the differences between the two groups, and measure how important the content is on the internet. And finally, the only other question that we asked was, how relatable are the results that we found to other industries? So, can we apply these results to for-profit organizations, or are they only for nonprofit organizations? And that's it. We had a good time, and it was hard work, but it was fun. So, are there any questions?